Welcome to my channel Valuable Coins, All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. In the world of rare coins, it's not always the oldest or most exotic pieces that shock collectors and historians. Sometimes, it's the everyday coins, the ones that have passed through countless hands, dropped into vending machines, or tucked away in coin jars, that hold the most fascinating secrets. One such example is the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1965. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another common quarter, a typical piece of pocket change from over half a century ago. But under the right circumstances, this seemingly ordinary coin can become a valuable treasure, commanding attention from serious collectors and fetching jaw-dropping prices on the open market. The 1965 Washington quarter is especially significant because it marks a major turning point in American coinage history. Prior to that year, quarters were made of 90% silver, giving them not only monetary value but also intrinsic worth due to the metal content. However, starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint transitioned away from silver and began producing quarters from a clad composition of copper and nickel. This shift was driven by the rising cost of silver and the growing demand for coins in circulation. The decision forever changed the landscape of American coin collecting. The 1965 quarter was the first of this new generation, struck in enormous numbers and distributed widely across the country. But hidden among these millions of coins are a handful of extraordinary examples that break the mold entirely. What makes a 1965 Washington quarter valuable is not simply its age or historical context. It's the anomalies, the minting errors, and the preserved perfection of certain rare specimens that escaped the wear and tear of circulation. Some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on 90% silver planchets, left over from 1964. These rare transitional errors are exceptionally hard to find and highly prized by collectors. Others may exhibit unique striking errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or other production mistakes that add layers of rarity and intrigue. Combine that with an untouched, mint-state condition, and you've got the recipe for an extremely desirable coin. The thrill of discovering such a coin is what drives hobbyists and professionals alike to search through rolls of change, visit coin shows, and participate in high-stakes auctions. There's a sense of mystery in every coin hunt. What stories does this coin carry? Was it part of a transitional run? Was it a mistake that somehow slipped past the mint's quality control? The answers lie in the tiniest details, and only the most observant and passionate collectors will spot them. Grading companies play a key role in evaluating these finds, assigning official designations that can significantly impact the coin's market value. And when one of these rare coins is authenticated and revealed to the public, it often sparks a frenzy of interest and excitement. Such was the case with a stunning 1965 Washington quarter that emerged from a private collection. This particular coin was struck with remarkable clarity and preserved in an uncirculated condition that set it apart from the rest. Experts quickly realized they were looking at something incredibly special, a coin that defied the odds of survival and carried characteristics that made it a numismatic standout. After being professionally graded and authenticated, this quarter was brought to auction, where competitive bidders recognized its historic and collectible significance. The final hammer price for this extraordinary piece stunned even seasoned collectors. That single 1965 Washington quarter sold for $185,000. Top 2. If you've ever held a pocket full of change and wondered whether one of those quarters could be hiding an incredible secret, then get ready for a coin story that might just change the way you look at your everyday money. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1970. At first glance, this coin might seem like nothing more than a common piece of currency, an item passed from hand to hand, spent on sodas, toll booths, or tucked away in coin jars without a second thought. But as with many stories in the numismatic world, there's more here than meets the eye. The 1970 Washington quarter holds a mystery, a hidden rarity, and in some very special cases, an incredible value that will leave you speechless. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932, originally struck to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Over the decades, it has evolved in design and composition, but its place in American life has remained constant. By the time 1970 rolled around, the quarter had already transitioned away from its original 90% silver composition to a copper-nickel clad version. While millions of these new clad coins were produced by the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, not all of them were created equal. Among the countless 1970 quarters minted, a handful have been discovered to possess highly unusual characteristics that place them in a league of their own. One of the most talked about features of the 1970 quarter is a remarkable mint error involving a coin struck over a 1941 Canadian quarter. Yes, you heard that right. A U.S. quarter, minted in 1970, was struck on a previously minted Canadian coin. This extraordinary minting mistake created a stunning overlay of designs, resulting in a coin that became the stuff of legends. The details of both coins are visible under magnification, creating a layered look that numismatists and collectors find absolutely mesmerizing. Mistakes like this are not supposed to happen. The mint has rigorous quality controls in place, and yet, somehow, a few of these hybrid coins slipped through the cracks and entered circulation. And it's not just these dramatic mint errors that bring the 1970 quarter into the spotlight. Even standard quarters from this year, when found in pristine condition with perfect surfaces, sharp strikes, and high grades from professional grading companies, can carry substantial value. Coins graded MS 67 or higher are exceedingly rare and desirable. The value grows exponentially if the coin also has cameo contrast, strong luster, or is part of a limited proof set, especially from the San Francisco Mint marked with an S mint mark. These coins, though intended for collectors, have on occasion been found in general circulation, their true worth unknown to the average person. What makes a 1970 Washington quarter go from pocket change to prized possession? It's a combination of history, rarity, condition, and the ever-growing demand among collectors for standout pieces. There is always the thrill of the hunt in numismatics. The idea that tucked away in an old roll of quarters or sitting quietly in a drawer could be a small fortune disguised as spare change. As more people become aware of the hidden value in coins like the 1970 quarter, the excitement only grows. Auction houses have seen fierce bidding wars over top-grade examples, and coin shows across the country buzz with whispers of rare finds and unexpected treasures. One such 1970 Washington quarter, bearing the signs of a rare minting anomaly and preserved in extraordinary condition, recently captured the attention of the coin collecting world. When it hit the auction block, expert collectors and investors alike were quick to recognize its rarity and historical significance. After a series of competitive bids, the final sale price reached a staggering total. That single coin, no larger than a bottle cap and easily mistaken for an everyday quarter, was sold for $150,000. Top 3. Every coin tells a story, but some tell stories so unique and valuable that they can turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary discovery. Let's talk about one such coin today. A coin that might be sitting quietly in someone's coin jar, tucked away in a forgotten drawer, or even rattling around in someone's pocket without them realizing the hidden fortune it holds. We're talking about the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1972. Now, to most people, a 1972 quarter looks like any other, simple, unassuming, and easily overlooked. But beneath its copper-nickel surface lies a potential treasure that has caught the attention of collectors and coin hunters across the country. The 1972 Washington quarter is not just an everyday coin. It's part of a legacy, a reflection of American history, and in certain rare conditions, it's a high-value collectible that could change someone's life. The Washington Quarter series began in 1932, initially intended to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Over the decades, the coin became a permanent fixture in American currency, and by 1972, it was deeply ingrained in the daily life of Americans. The design on the obverse features the stately profile of George Washington, while the reverse bears the heraldic eagle, its wings outstretched, a proud symbol of the United States. But 1972 was more than just another minting year. During this era, subtle minting errors, die varieties, and exceptional conditions gave rise to rare variations that became the focus of serious numismatists and collectors. While the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year, not all were identical. Some were struck with striking clarity, while others emerged with unexpected errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and misaligned dies, that made them both rare and incredibly valuable. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1972 quarter lies in its potential for hidden value. Imagine finding a quarter that, at first glance, looks like every other coin you've ever seen, but upon closer inspection, reveals doubling in the lettering, a stronger strike, or an unusual anomaly in its details. These are the coins that, when professionally graded, can command top dollar at auctions. Some quarters from 1972, when submitted to grading services like PCGS or NGC, have come back with surprisingly high grades, MS67 or even MS68. These grades indicate that the coin has been preserved in near-perfect condition, with no signs of wear and razor-sharp design details. Coins of this quality are extremely rare, especially considering how many quarters are used daily and often show signs of handling and damage. Even more compelling are the quarters that come from proof sets struck at the San Francisco Mint, bearing the S Mint mark. These coins were never meant for circulation and were specifically created for collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted designs. Over the years, some of these proofs have mysteriously found their way into circulation, and collectors are always on the lookout for these elusive treasures. Another intriguing version is the no S proof error, where the coin was mistakenly minted without the San Francisco Mint mark. These are among the rarest and most sought after by serious collectors, but rarity alone isn't what makes the 1972 quarter so captivating. It's the thrill of the unknown, the possibility that someone, somewhere, might stumble upon one of these exceptional coins without realizing it. Perhaps it's a coin passed down from a grandparent, or one pulled from an old roll of quarters from the bank. Every collector dreams of that moment, the moment when a seemingly ordinary coin is revealed to be a hidden gem worth far more than face value. And that dream became a reality for one lucky individual who discovered a 1972 Washington quarter in absolutely pristine condition, with a remarkable mint error that set it apart from the millions of others. When it was sent to auction, experts quickly recognized its rarity and significance. Bidders from around the world entered a fierce competition to own a piece of American coinage history. And when the final gavel struck, the coin had sold for a jaw-dropping total of $142,000. Top 4. What if the spare change in your pocket was worth more than a luxury car or even a down payment on a house? It might sound unbelievable, but in the world of coin collecting, some of the most unexpected treasures can come from the most ordinary places. We're diving into one such potential treasure, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1978. At first glance, it looks like just another coin that passed through countless hands, spun in vending machines, or tossed into fountains. But behind that familiar copper-nickel exterior could lie a story of rarity, precision, and incredible value that few people would ever expect. The 1978 Washington quarter may seem common, but under the right conditions, it's anything but. In fact, some versions of this coin have become incredibly valuable in the eyes of collectors, so much so that one particular example fetched a truly astonishing sum at auction. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Its obverse design, created by John Flanagan, features a dignified portrait of the first U.S. president, while the reverse design of the era displays a powerful eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches symbolizing both strength and peace. By 1978, this design had become deeply familiar to Americans across the country. But familiarity doesn't always mean simplicity. Coins minted in 1978, particularly those struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, came in huge numbers. Over 1.2 billion quarters were produced that year. Yet even in such massive numbers, rare variants can emerge, whether due to striking errors, die anomalies, or exceptional preservation. For collectors, the difference between an ordinary coin and a highly valuable one often comes down to minute details. A 1978 Washington quarter can skyrocket in value if it exhibits certain errors such as double dies, where design elements like Liberty or In God We Trust appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die. Other coveted errors include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even transitional errors where the wrong metal composition was accidentally used. But one of the most crucial factors that elevate a coin's value is its condition. A coin that's been in circulation will typically show signs of wear, smooth edges, faded details, or surface scratches. However, a coin that has remained untouched, unhandled, and impeccably preserved can achieve what's known in the numismatic world as a mint state grade. When a 1978 quarter is submitted to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC and returns with a grade of MS67 or higher, it instantly becomes a standout. These coins exhibit flawless surfaces, strong luster, and razor-sharp strike quality, setting them apart from millions of circulated examples. The competition among collectors for such pieces is fierce, with the best of the best commanding major attention at auctions. It's not just about the coin itself. It's about owning a perfect relic of history, a shining artifact from an era that most people wouldn't give a second thought. What makes the 1978 quarter even more intriguing is that so many of them were never meant to be rare. That means valuable specimens can surface in the most unexpected places: an old coin jar, a childhood collection, or a forgotten roll from the bank. Stories abound of individuals stumbling across high-value quarters simply because they decided to take a closer look. This element of mystery and discovery is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. The treasure isn't buried underground, it's right there in your everyday life, waiting to be noticed. In one particularly stunning case, a 1978 Washington quarter was discovered in pristine, uncirculated condition with a rare mint error that made it one of a kind. The coin had been tucked away for years, preserved in an airtight holder, never touched by human hands. When it finally came to light and was submitted for grading, the results confirmed what the finder had suspected: it was a numismatic masterpiece. Collectors lined up, bids poured in, and after a flurry of intense interest, the coin sold at auction for an unbelievable amount. That one ordinary-looking 1978 quarter, the kind most people wouldn't give a second glance, went on to sell for $110,000. Top 5. Have you ever stopped to think about the history that might be hidden in your pocket change? Among the coins that slip through our fingers every day, there are a few that carry more than just monetary value. They carry stories, errors, and rarity that make them worth small fortunes to collectors. One such coin is the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it might seem like any other quarter minted for daily use, modest in design, common in circulation. But what if I told you that this particular year's quarter, under the right conditions, could be worth more than a luxury vehicle or even a down payment on a house? That's the fascinating reality of numismatics, the art of coin collecting, where ordinary becomes extraordinary. The Washington quarter has been a part of American currency since 1932, originally released to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Its familiar obverse features the iconic portrait of Washington designed by John Flanagan, a steady image that became a fixture in American life. The reverse, showing the bold eagle with outstretched wings atop a bundle of arrows, remained in place for decades and stood as a symbol of strength and vigilance. By the year 1979, the coin had seen nearly half a century of production and had passed through countless hands across the country. Yet despite its routine appearance, the 1979 quarter harbors certain versions and minting anomalies that have elevated its status among coin collectors. This was a time before the U.S. Mint introduced the state quarters program, so the design was relatively unchanged. But 1979 still holds significance for collectors due to various reasons. First, we have the sheer volume. Hundreds of millions of quarters were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, not all coins were created equally. Tiny imperfections or errors that occurred during the minting process can result in coins that become highly sought after. These include things like double die obverse or reverse, where parts of the coin's design appear doubled due to die misalignment. There are also off-center strikes, broad strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet, each of which increases a coin's rarity and value. But beyond errors, condition is king in coin collecting. A 1979 Washington quarter that has been circulated and worn will almost always be worth its face value. However, when a coin is preserved in pristine condition, graded as mint state by professional grading services, it becomes a candidate for serious valuation. Coins with a grade of MS66, MS67, or even higher are incredibly rare and valuable, not because of their metal content, but because of their flawless preservation. A coin that has remained untouched, with sharp details, original mint luster, and no signs of wear, represents the ideal example for collectors aiming to complete the most perfect sets. What makes the 1979 quarter particularly captivating is that most people wouldn't suspect it of being worth anything more than 25 cents. It doesn't stand out at first glance. And yet, within that seemingly normal appearance could lie a hidden gem, especially if it carries an uncommon strike or is in top-tier uncirculated condition. These are the coins that excite collectors, the ones they're willing to bid for at major auctions, sometimes sight unseen, just based on the description and grade. In a world where hundreds of millions of these coins exist, finding one that is graded MS68 or higher, or one that features a unique mint error, is like discovering a diamond in the rough. One of the most remarkable stories from the world of rare coins involves just such a quarter from 1979. A collector discovered an untouched example tucked away in a coin roll purchased from a local bank. At first, it seemed just like any other coin, but its sharp strike, mirror-like finish, and flawless surface hinted that it might be something special. When sent in for grading, the coin received an exceptional mint state rating. But what made it even more valuable was the presence of a subtle, yet significant mint error, a barely noticeable double die on the obverse. This combination of rare features and pristine condition catapulted its value at auction to a level few could have predicted. After intense bidding from collectors who recognized its true worth, the coin eventually sold for an astounding $105,000. Top 6. Imagine holding in your hand a small, everyday coin, one that's been passed from person to person, slipped into vending machines, carried in wallets and purses, or forgotten in desk drawers. A simple Washington quarter dollar from 1982 might seem like just another piece of loose change. But what if I told you that one of these unassuming coins, barely larger than a bottle cap, could be worth an incredible amount of money? That hidden among the millions produced that year, there are a few extremely rare versions that collectors are desperate to find. In the world of numismatics, even the most ordinary-looking coin can transform into a prized possession if the conditions are just right. And the 1982 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something so common can hold such unexpected value. The Washington quarter has been a part of American pockets since 1932. Originally designed by John Flanagan to honor the nation's first president, its iconic design stayed consistent for decades, with only subtle changes across the years. But 1982 marked a unique period in U.S. coin production history. During this time, the United States Mint was undergoing budget constraints and shifting its policies. One significant change was the decision to stop producing uncirculated mint sets for the general public in 1982. This decision resulted in a lower number of high-quality coins being preserved directly from the mint, meaning fewer 1982 quarters exist today in pristine, untouched condition. That small decision, now decades old, has had a massive impact on how rare and desirable these coins are today. Adding to their intrigue, 1982 was also a year filled with minting quirks. For example, this was the year the Mint produced quarters in both P. Philadelphia and D. Denver varieties. But notably, the coin struck in Philadelphia did not bear a mint mark, something that only adds to the confusion and fascination for collectors. Furthermore, coins from this era often suffer from weak strikes or poor quality, which makes finding a quarter in exceptional condition even more difficult. It's this combination of factors, lack of mint sets, subpar strike quality, and general wear from circulation, that has made high-grade 1982 Washington quarters rare gems in the eyes of serious collectors. Now imagine finding one of these quarters in a nearly flawless state, one with a bold strike, full detail on Washington's hair, and a gleaming surface free of scratches or blemishes. These are the coins that stand out when sent to grading services like PCGS or NGC, often receiving mint state ratings of MS66 or higher. Coins with such high grades are incredibly rare from 1982, and when combined with additional features like minor die varieties, errors, or original luster, they become even more desirable. One such coin, an extraordinary 1982 Washington quarter, caught the attention of seasoned collectors not only for its remarkable preservation but also for its unusual characteristics. With sharp definition, exceptional luster, and a clean field free of contact marks, it was the kind of coin that could elevate any collection to the next level. Collectors recognize the importance of such pieces and are willing to pay top dollar to acquire them, especially coins that tell a story of rarity, change, and historical context. The 1982 Washington quarter embodies a time of transition in American minting history, and finding one in top condition is like discovering a time capsule from that era. It serves as a reminder that value isn't just about age or metal content. It's about condition, history, scarcity, and the passion of those who understand what makes a coin truly special. So the next time you're sorting through your spare change, don't overlook the quarters from 1982. That seemingly average coin might just be hiding incredible value, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to recognize its worth. Because believe it or not, one rare and perfectly preserved example of the 1982 Washington quarter dollar has been sold for an astonishing $92,000. Top 7. Most people look at the coins in their pocket without a second thought, just simple pieces of change used for parking meters, vending machines, or quick tips. But every now and then, a seemingly ordinary coin turns out to be something extraordinary. Today, we're taking a closer look at one such piece, the 1994 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it's just another coin featuring the familiar profile of George Washington, something you've likely handled thousands of times without realizing its hidden story. But buried beneath its ordinary appearance could be a secret that sets it apart from millions of others minted that same year, a rarity that collectors would pay a small fortune to own. Let's rewind to 1994. It wasn't a particularly remarkable year for coin collectors, at least not on the surface. The U.S. Mint was producing millions of quarters at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and the design remained unchanged since its introduction in 1932. The obverse still featured George Washington, stoic and proud, while the reverse continued with the heraldic eagle, wings spread in strength and vigilance. But as with many coins, the devil is in the details. What makes the 1994 quarter fascinating is not a massive production error or a new design. It's the subtle imperfections, unique die varieties, and immaculate condition of a select few that have made this coin rise far above face value. In the world of numismatics, rarity isn't always about how few are made. It's about how few survived in top condition. The 1994 Washington quarter, while minted in the millions, was generally not saved in uncirculated quality. It was a workhorse coin, meant for daily transactions, dropped in coin jars, exchanged over counters, and rubbed raw through everyday use. That's why finding a 1994 quarter in pristine, untouched, mint-state condition is incredibly rare. And among those rare finds, some quarters stand out even more, those struck with unusual die errors, double dies, off-centers, or even examples with planchet anomalies that slip through the strict quality control at the mint point. One such anomaly is the double die obverse, where the design appears slightly doubled, often most noticeable in the inscriptions like "In God We Trust" or the date itself. Another sought-after variant is the off-center strike, where the coin's image is not perfectly aligned, resulting in part of the design being cut off. These small quirks may seem like flaws, but to collectors, they are treasures, flaws that make a coin truly one of a kind. Add in top-tier grading from professional services like PCGS or NGC, with grades like MS67 or even MS68, and suddenly you're looking at a coin that's not just different, but extraordinary. What's especially exciting about coins like the 1994 quarter is that they're still in circulation. That means there's always a chance, however small, that someone might discover one in pocket change, at a yard sale, or tucked away in a family coin jar. The idea that an everyday item could hide such incredible value is part of what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's the mystery, the history, and the unexpected that turn a routine object into a prize worthy of a spotlight. Collectors from around the world keep their eyes peeled for these rare examples, not only because they complete a collection, but because they tell a story of how ordinary can become extraordinary, how chance and condition can turn metal into a masterpiece. And in the case of the 1994 Washington quarter, one stunning, mint-state example with the right combination of quality, error, and eye appeal has fetched an incredible $65,000.